as always, myself, T Dot, and you can follow me on T Dot _ producer on all socials, I think at the moment now. Joined obviously again with Theo. So Theo, how you doing?
I'm good. I think I woke up and I had to pinch myself this morning slightly, but yeah, I'm buzzing, absolutely buzzing.
Yeah, and as always, you can follow us on Twitter from the Shed End podcast. That's just at from the Shed End. Also on Instagram, it's from the Shed End, but with underscore in between each of the words. So yeah, give us a like and interact with us. I know there's been a lot of interaction on our Instagram channel. Thanks to Theo, I know you do a lot on there, so there's been a lot going on there. So give it a follow, a like, and interact with us as well. Also, you can follow us on the YouTube channel, which is again from the Shed End podcast, and we're actually streaming live now. So if you're around, click live, click in, give us some questions and responses as well. As you can tell, I'm slightly hungover. So we'll move over to the main topic of discussion. Yeah, Theo, take it away.
I just feel like, wow, I think we recorded the first episode of this just over a month ago. We were talking about the actual steps it would take to get to the Champions League final. I think we'd just beaten Atletico. We then had to play Porto. Then we were talking about who we'd rather play, City or Real or Liverpool. And then who we'd rather play afterwards, PSG, Bayern, and so on. So to actually think now that we're in the Champions League final against Manchester City is mind-blowing. First Champions League final since 2012. And it was just the game was superb, honestly. Quite typical to us, just going 1-0 up, goal in the first half, keeping it at 1-0 quite throughout the majority of the game, and then missing a lot of chances. But when Mount scored, you just seem to forget about all those missed chances. The Kante chance, the Havertz chance, even the Mount chance. And 2-0 against Real Madrid, knocking them out 13 times. They've won the Champions League. An experienced team. A lot of those players that they've got in that squad, they've been there since, during that last time they won those 4 Champions League in the last decade or so. The likes of Sergio Ramos, Marcelo, Modric, even Cruz was there. So it's an experienced team, a very experienced team. And for me, the icing on the cake was academy boy Mason Mount, 22 years old, scoring the goal, to calm our nerves in the Matthew Harding end. It's just the stuff of dreams for me as a Chelsea fan to watch that. I know a lot of people were calling him, the teacher's pet, Lampard's teacher's pet in the last couple, maybe the last year or so. But I really think he silenced the critics in the last couple of weeks. And if that goal hasn't silenced the critics, then I don't know what will. Maybe a stellar performance at the Euros. But for me, it was just an absolutely amazing night. I was at Stamford Bridge before kickoff to just soak up the atmosphere. I walked to the bridge, had my headphones in, and listened to the Champions League anthem, and it just felt a bit magical,
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely magical night. And to think we're going to be in Istanbul on the 29th of May is something special, really, really special.
Yeah, because there's a lot to take in from yesterday, and I'm sure as many Chelsea fans like myself, there's still, like I told you earlier, I've rewatched the game. We've had that sort of anxiety attached to it, which obviously I'm sure again a lot of Chelsea fans had that yesterday. But yeah, take me back a bit, because I know you obviously went to Stamford Bridge before kickoff. What was the atmosphere like? What was it? I'm assuming from what I got to see, there was just, even after the game as well, I'm sure that there's been pictures of Kante leaving in his Mini and Tuchel going out, and it was good to see, obviously, from what happened the weekend before at Old Trafford, and that kind of protest, which ours wasn't a protest yesterday, but it's good to see this, the other side of it, that the fans can actually celebrate something and see the other end of that spectrum. But what was it like for you being there?
I mean, for me, it just felt like the beginning of a match day or an away trip, when you got the fans just, packed in the streets, crowds of fans. I mean, they were wearing masks, the majority of them. But But it just felt like match day vibes all over again. A bit weird knowing you were by Stamford Bridge, greeting the team bus, but you weren't actually going to be attending the game. A bit odd for me, that. But it just, when you see those kind of live scenes on TV of the team bus arriving and all the fans cheering, blue smoke from the flares, I think that's what, that kind of like hostile atmosphere as well you want to create for the Real Madrid
Yeah.
team bus that came by first. It felt like as well, all those fans that were there, they're the real fans, those that are like present at Stamford Bridge on match days. And you could tell that, this was a special moment for them. They wanted to recreate that match day experience. And when the Chelsea team bus came past, just the absolute roar from the Chelsea fans. And it was pretty epic. And then as soon as the Chelsea bus went into Stamford Bridge, they all looked at their watches and they just dispersed and ran off because they knew they had to catch the game now. Yeah, special on two sides. I mean, it was controlled by police quite well. It was never hostile, to be fair. But but it was a special feelings. It's the type of thing you see on TV and you want to be part of. I didn't get to make the European Super League protests, but I got to go yesterday, which was quite special.
Yeah, no, that was good. But yeah, just in terms of the game as well, I think before the game I was quite sort of apprehensive to see Azpilicueta right wing back, just probably because of the fact of, not that he struggled in the first leg, but you could see that he was tiring towards the end of that game. So that did put me on a bit of nerves, I should say, during that game. But he was outstanding. Yes, I mean, we could say that about everyone who played yesterday, but just in terms of the fact that he was able to do his job correctly, and he's an experienced defender, so I don't expect anything less of him. But just seeing out that game the way he did, and even Christensen, I thought was brilliant. Chilwell at times, I thought he was. I mean, I know I mentioned it to you yesterday. He had a brilliant first 15 or maybe 20 minutes, but there was a coming together of the. I think it was Vinicius, was it?
Vinicius, yeah.
Yeah. So I think there's a coming together and a bit of off the ball stuff, and I think after that, Chilwell's head went slightly, and he was almost scared to go forward, potentially so he doesn't lose the ball, doesn't lose possession, but. Obviously he got subbed off, I think, didn't he, at some point? So he was able to do that. But Mendy as well, I thought Mendy was, I mean, he pulled off, the Benzema chance was going in, he was a brilliant save. I think both of them from Benzema, weren't they? I think the header as well was Benzema. So Mendy, we could talk about all the players, couldn't we, from yesterday, and just go through them and give them a 10 out of 10, because that's what the performance was. One thing that really stuck out for me yesterday was I don't know if you remember, we spoke about Tuchel when he first came and to the club, and there was the footage of the first training session and the drills, and that is, you can tell that's seeped into the team now, and it's there, it's embedded. Defensively, we were just perfect. Everyone knows where they've got to be, who they've got to mark, and yeah, you can tell that is the philosophy, the way that Tuchel wants his team to play now.
Yeah, I mean, I can only echo what you said about the 10 out of 10 performances for every single player. Azpi, he's 31 years old, but he gave it his all yesterday, and you want your captain in the starting lineup for a game like of that caliber. And I think he even looked absolutely knackered at one stage, but I think maybe he asked Tuchel to carry on playing for a bit more, and then eventually Reece James did come on. Kante, as always, superb. And yeah, Mendy, those two reflex saves from just to deny Benzema. They were type of saves that you'd see Czech make back in the day, or Edwin van der Sar, and amazing saves. And a bit superstitious there again. We signed Mendy from Rennes in France, 29 years old. Czech was 29 years old when he won the Champions League with Chelsea. We also signed him from Rennes, so I don't want to jinx it, but a bit of superstition back there as well. And yeah, regarding the Tuchel kind of typical performance, that first training session, you saw, how the intensity the players were playing at, and how I think Tuchel said he gives his players, I think, a 5 to 8 second gap to win the ball back after they lose it. And you see that with the way we play. As soon as I think it was Kroos or Modric or Casemiro had the ball, one of Jorginho, Mount, or even Kante would leech onto the player on the ball and just win it back straight away. It's just, I got a bit scared when Jorginho got that first yellow, if I'm honest, because I thought he's that type of player that maybe could get a second yellow, especially with the position he plays, and especially if he's marking a player like Hazard, Asensio, Vinicius. But he was superb as well. He timed his tackles perfectly, and he just seems to suit that Tuchel mentality of winning the ball back really well. Kante gets a lot of praise, rightly so, but I think Jorginho has been probably the second best player, or maybe third best player after Mount and George and Kante since Tuchel's taken over. Possibly those three for me have been absolutely superb. So yeah, I'm just loving watching Tuchel play out the Tuchel's performances and management at the moment. And if we can add more goals to our performances, then I think we can be arguably the best team in Europe at the moment.
Yeah, and I'd have to agree. I think we're, I think going forward and looking at what the, the final is going to look like, playing Manchester City. Well, there's a couple of things actually. I mean, there's talk already that the final may potentially be moved. There's a lot obviously going on within Turkey at the moment due to COVID reasons. Two English teams, why not try and get it moved here? But I know there's obviously contractual and money's been sponsorships, etc., etc. So it'll be an interesting final. I mean, we're going to talk about Manchester City shortly, but I just don't think we're going to be able to let our guard down maybe as much as we did. There was times where we were, I wouldn't say off the boil like last night, but there was times where we did sort of invite the pressure from Real Madrid. We've done well to keep Hazard quiet, which I think isn't any easy task in any way at all. We know that from his time at Chelsea, but even Benzema, Modric again, we kept their key players quiet. That three midfield, they were quiet, and they didn't really have any sort of plan B. The plan A wasn't working. So, what was your thoughts around the fact that we kept a Real Madrid, which is a good team still. We have to call them a good team. Kept them quiet. What do you think went wrong for them over the two legs?
I mean, I want to say that Madrid were poor, but that was the same Madrid team that beat Liverpool 3-1 in Madrid about a couple of weeks ago and looked very, very good. And Liverpool are a good team as well. So I just think we were very, very good on the night. I think you could maybe point to a couple injuries, Varane being injured, Ramos coming back from his injury, same with Hazard. But at the same time, these are quality players, experienced players that no matter the occasion, they should be able to perform. I just think we outplayed them, in all honesty. Similarly to you, I was a bit worried at first. I think it was 75% possession for Real Madrid in the first 10 minutes. And I think that kind of worried me, thinking if they carry on kind of keeping the ball like this, they're just going to build up towards a goal or a set piece or something like that. But bar those two Benzema chances, they didn't really threaten us too much. And I really think we kept those big players, at bay, the likes of Hazard, the likes of Vinicius, the likes of Benzema. So I think all credits to our defense for that in that regard. That back three of Rudiger, Silva, and Christensen, it seems to just gel really well together. I think that's why Tuchel insists to have Azpion as a right wing back now, simply because he wants to keep those back three together. And it's almost just harsh dropping one of the three. It's too harsh, and that's why Zuma probably can't get a game at the moment, or he'll play the odd Premier League game like he did against Fulham. But yeah, I think we just defensively too good for them on the day, and as I said before, if we take our chances, we could have won about 4 or 5-0 easily.
Yeah, we haven't spoken about the goal or the goals, I should say, but just in terms of the first the one that wasn't given, the offside from Werner, very unlucky. I thought he didn't time his run. He didn't need to. There was plenty of opportunity for him to still score had he stayed on side. And I think that was my only criticism of him last night, was that he does everything right, and we've spoke about him before. He does everything correct, and he's always in the right place. He assists, he's fast on the ball, but I do think sometimes his decision making and his he's been caught offside a few times now, hasn't he, in terms of scoring goals, and his offside he's just missed completely. But the goal that he did get, which I thought was brilliant from Kante in the build up, and obviously Havertz was very unlucky. Because that would have been a brilliant goal had that gone in anyway, instead of coming off the crossbar. But it was good to see Werner get on the score sheet. I think he needed that goal. We've seen what the confidence has done for Havertz getting some goals as well. So we can only hope, going into the game on Saturday, that pays off for Werner as well.
Yeah, I think that goal, even though it was you couldn't really miss it for Werner, a brilliant player, as you mentioned, from Havertz and Kante. But I think that'll do him the world of good. It's his first goal from open play in the Champions League.
Yeah.
And, just having a goal to your name against Real Madrid in a Champions League semi-final is huge. It will do him so much. I mean, I think he said in his, I love his post-match interviews. He just doesn't seem media trained at all. But he said that, last 10 minutes in the dressing room, I've lost my voice. And it goes to show that he was part of the team now.
Yeah,
He's enjoying his time at Chelsea, despite what a lot of people, say about him online. I think the most important thing is Chelsea fans are backing him, as I said. So I think it was right from Tuchel to stick with Werner and Havertz and drop Pulisic to the bench possibly, and have that option to bring Pulisic on. It just changed the game, and it helped us get that second goal. So we're almost spoiled for choice with our front kind of our offensive front three.
yeah.
But brilliant goal from and brilliant build-up play for the goal for Werner, and I'm really happy that he got that goal and a Champions League goal from open play.
Yeah, and obviously when Pulisic does come on, he does what he does best, and he was dangerous. As soon as he came on, he was just there was no stopping him, and that's a brilliant luxury to have, to be able to bring someone like that off our bench. And I think Callum Hudson-Odoi was still on the bench as well, so we have we've got all these options now, which is brilliant. And like you mentioned earlier, it was brilliant to see Mason Mount getting that goal. I mean, that must mean everything to him. That's probably the only goal he's probably ever, for now, going to remember as being the top goal he's ever scored for Chelsea. I'll be honest, I didn't even wait around to see the goal. At that point last night, I think I was already sort of looking at the clock and just thinking, when's the game going to end? So even this morning, to be honest, I can't really remember, because again, I celebrate this morning like it was fresh in the mind. So I'll need to rewatch that back, I think, later, just to make sure that I think it was a tap in, wasn't it? It was more of it was an easy goal. He wasn't going to miss, was he? But no. Pulisic done well in the build up, and we know what he can do. The threat that he's got going forward as well.
Yeah, I mean, similar to you, I hadn't watched the replay of the goal until I got to YouTube, and I watched the full highlights on YouTube because I was so busy celebrating after it hit the back of the net. But brilliant from Pulisic, and he changed the game when he came on. I mean, changed that game with the intensity it was at that stage. But I think it feels quite funny to think we sold Hazard, who's lost a lot of form recently, to bring in Pulisic. And when you look at the two of them playing yesterday, it's almost like we've got this 22-year-old now who's looking like one of the best players in Europe. And then you've got Hazard on the other side, who doesn't really seem himself. And, the performance that Pulisic put in yesterday was just superb. He just seems to remind me of prime Hazard, with how he loses, how he kind of draws players to foul him. And I think very soon after he came on, I'm not sure, I think it might have been Kroos. He got Kroos booked, I think, quite quickly after.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that he started on the bench probably means he may start against City on Saturday, which is good to know as well.
Yeah, and that's a brilliant time to discuss that now as well. So big game Saturday. Dress rehearsal, really, isn't it, for the final now? So what's your thoughts? Your thoughts on the game?
It's a dress rehearsal, but I think it's also a must-win for both teams in a way, because City want to wrap the league up quite early. I think they've got 4 games left. They want to have this game won so they can enjoy the rest of their 3 games and be ready for the Champions League final on the 29th of May. And for us, we're still not guaranteed top 4. We don't know yet if we're going to win the Champions League final to guarantee Champions League next season. So it's a must-win for us as well. Or to be fair, it seems a bit greedy asking for 3 points against a very good Manchester City side at the Etihad. So I will take a draw in the game. I think it's a very difficult, probably the hardest Premier League fixture we can ask for at the moment. We saw City against PSG midweek as well. They were superb. I mean, Diaz and Stones look like prime Puyol and Maldini at the moment. They're very good. John Terry was praising Diaz on Instagram. I think it's going to be a very difficult game. I think we have the squad depth to rotate. I don't want us to tinker too much with the squad like we usually say, because this formation seems to work so much. But if it means bringing Pulisic back in the squad, maybe Ziyech, maybe even Alonso and Zuma, then I'm more than happy to make those changes. And even Gilmour, possibly, if he's up for it, and Kovacic if he's fit, so we can rest one of Jorginho and Kante. I think we're playing Arsenal midweek next week as well. So yeah, it's going to be a difficult game. Dress rehearsal in a way, but at the same time, however the game plans out Saturday, I don't see it planning out any similar way on the 29th of May in Istanbul.
Yeah, Yeah, and I'd have to agree with a lot of that. I think it's going to be an important game, and I know we've mentioned it before that this is make or break for Chelsea now. And I know we were all sort of on a high from yesterday, and we've obviously got the FA Cup final to look forward to. But something in the back of my mind always thinks, if we lose both of those finals, crucial game against City, we've still got games that we need to play in the Premiership as well. If we do lose out on top four and no trophies, how bad of a season does it suddenly look like? From the fact that we could potentially win two trophies and still qualify, obviously, for the Champions League by winning the Champions League. So, for me, I think we've got to look at it from a realistic perspective, and I think we are in the driving seat still. For me, in terms of the league position, I think for me, it's more important to obviously finish as high up the league as possible, regardless of whatever the case is. But we're in the top four now. I do look at West Ham still, and I think they're our only threat. I think Leicester and obviously Man United have now got four games in
4 games in 8 days.
8 days, I think. So they're not safe. They're only I think 5 points from Leicester. So if they lose a lot of those games, I mean they could lose all four of those games, and then it's fair game again. So. In terms of our game on Saturday, I agree it's a must win for us. We've got to we've got to not treat it maybe like a dress rehearsal. I think that's probably the wrong thing to do. I think we should treat it like any game, and we should be able to go out there, clear minds. It'd be interesting whether to, because I know before the game against Real Madrid, Tuchel sent the players home. So it'd be interesting to see whether he does something similar, maybe gives them a day's rest prior to the game. I'm not sure how he'll do that, but I'm pretty sure it definitely worked yesterday, and I'm pretty sure he'll do something similar to just to give the players that sort of vote of confidence, put the mind at ease a little bit. Obviously, they played a lot of football the last couple of days or so. So it'd be interesting, and I think City, like you say, they want to wrap this league up now. They don't want to be still looking at teams and looking at league tables, as close to the Champions League final. So it's another nervous weekend. Let's say that it's definitely going to be a nerve-wracking weekend. The only luxury, I suppose, is we'll know. Tottenham played before us, don't they? I think
Leeds, they play Leeds.
They've got Leeds at 12:30, so we'll kind of know about them. But it's the other teams around. Like I said, West Ham. I think they've got Everton, which is a big game on the Sunday. So it's a must-win. There's no point looking at who's around us. It's a must-win for us, and we've got to try and just get the 3 points, however possible. It'd be interesting to see if he starts with Pulisic. I think he will. I think he should as well. And maybe Kovacic. I'm not sure if he's back. I'm not sure how injured he is, or how when he's due back. But we kind of do need to give that midfield a bit of a rest as well. But as long as Mendy's in goal, we should win. That's my final say on that.
Yeah, must win, I think. And I think as well, if we do, put in a good performance against Man City, it will set the tone for the final, I think, in Istanbul, even though I expect things to plan out very differently. You can't compare a Champions League final to a Premiership game. But yeah, I think if we're solid in defence, I'm trying to remember last night, I think the last time we conceded a goal was against Porto in the second leg, I think. I think we've gone on a run of 4 games with clean sheets, and I think that's something we really struggled under with Lampard. So it just seems like Tuchel's really kind of solved that issue, bar the maybe West Brom game, which we just seem to be like a blip. And I think it's confirmed that was a blip with how we've played since. But defensively, if Mendy carries on playing like the way he did and is kind of comfortable and reassuring coming out of his penalty box, and the back three and the wing backs continue to perform, then we've kept clean sheets against Kane, against Salah Benzema last night, Salah, Suarez, all these top players. Yeah. So I would expect us, to be able to kind of deal with the likes of Mahrez, Bernardo Silva, Sterling, De Bruyne, which we did actually deal with fairly well. I mean, we kept a clean sheet against them at Wembley in the semi-final, even though I feel like City were resting a few of them in that game. But yeah, very, very nerve-wracking weekend is nevertheless.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be interesting. As always, I think we need to do the predictions. I feel like we missed it over. Obviously, we didn't do last night's, and I don't think we did the weekend fixture due to the social blackout as well. So, yeah, I think I think it'll be a very close game. I think we'll. I do think we'll win, as always. But I do think it'll be a very close game. I'll probably go for another 1-0. I don't think it's going to be many goals in this one. I think it'll be 1-0, be cagey, but I think we'll win 1-0.
Yeah, I mean, I was spot on with the Fulham prediction, the last episode. So pressure's on me now. But I wish I was as optimistic as you, but I'm going to stay, seeing that both teams maybe might want to, have they have the Champions League in the back of their minds, and I think they still want to. They've got a point to prove. I think they'll both score, and it's going to be a draw. I'm going to say 1-1.
Yeah, 1-1.
I think, yeah, we'll score in the first half and I'll score in the second, I think.
Yeah, if that happens, I think we need to start doing the lottery numbers as well. But let's move away from the Premier League slightly. Obviously, we've mentioned it a couple of times on here now. FA Cup final, Leicester City. It's doable. It's winnable. I think we should beat them. Strange kickoff time as well, 6:15, which is a bit strange. But what's your initial thoughts at the moment? Obviously, we can review this a bit more closer to the time, but just in terms of your initial thoughts on the FA Cup final, which on paper you think we should win.
100%. Type of fixture, you look at it, final, we're not playing City, we're not playing an Arsenal, who have caused us issues in cup finals recently, but we're playing Leicester, who I think are relatively inexperienced when it comes to cup finals. And it's a game that we should be winning, and I think we will win. You looked at Leicester's, I think their last fixture was at Southampton. They were extremely poor. They were playing against a Southampton side who played the majority of the game with 10 men, and they just seemed very lackluster, quite, almost like this is at this business end of the season. They don't really know what to do. But at the same time, they do have those players that can threaten us, the likes of Vardy and Nacho, their pace and ability in front of goal. But at the same time, as I mentioned before, if we're defensively solid against these big teams, there's no reason why we can't do it against Leicester. So I'm expecting a win. And I think similarly to 2012, if we can start off the month of May with an FA Cup and then, build it up towards the Champions League, then that would be brilliant. It just seems like all the boxes are being ticked almost, to show that it's been a very similar season or pattern to 2012.
Yeah.
So I think we will win. I'll give my prediction closer to the time, closer to the game as well, based on injuries, form, and all that. But
of course, yeah.
But for now, I'm going to say a win, and if we can kick things off with a trophy, that'll be brilliant.
Yeah, and it's only next Saturday, isn't it? Well, Saturday after next. So, yeah, it's going to be tough, and hopefully, like you say, no one gets injured during the Man City game. It'd be dreadful for either team. With the Euros around the corner as well, for anyone to pick up a big injury. So yeah, I think we'll have a more in-depth review of the game next week on next episode. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I really am. I think we deserve to be in that final. No one gave us a chance to be in any finals this season. The way that our season sort of panned out under Lampard, and we do need to give Lampard a bit of credit as well, especially the fact that we're in the Champions League final now as well. Some of that work was from him. The fact that he's got Mason Mount playing the way we've spoke about it before. We've got to give him the credit for that as well. The likes of Reece James and other players that have come through, but no one gave us a chance at all this season. We were 8th, I think, or 9th at Christmas in December. So to be in the top 4 and in an FA Cup final, Champions League final, I think we can go on scoop the lot. And that's maybe just me still, on a high from yesterday. But I do think we can go out and just get all these trophies that we want now. We've got one of the best squads in Europe, and we have to be honest about that. We've got one of the best defence, I'd say, all round. We've got, all we're really missing is a striker, an out-and-out number 9 striker, and that's it. Maybe a goalkeeper. But after yesterday, I might, do we need to? So yeah, I'm confident we can get the win against Leicester. Their form's been very up and down, and like you say, we're very good at keeping clean sheets. And if we can keep the likes of Iheanacho quiet, I don't really see them causing that much of a threat during the game. But it's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to it. We've got a couple of good weekends coming up now, so as a Chelsea fan, we can only expect us to win.
Agree. Yeah, 100%, and exciting weekends ahead.
Yeah. I wanted to mention Kai Havertz as well today, because I feel like he's taken a lot of stick since he's arrived at Chelsea. I think there was obviously a lot of expectations around the name, how he played for Leverkusen as well. But I do feel, and obviously the money that was spent on him, it was still quite. He's 21. We spent 71 million, I think it was. But we have to put into the factors that I think he contracted COVID-19 in November, which, from what I've read before, was pretty bad. It was not just a few symptoms; it was the full-on COVID-19. So, what are your thoughts on him now? Because he's obviously shown a bit of form that tells you that there is still a quality player. He's still 21. He's still got plenty of football ahead of him. Is it just down to what we spoke about, Werner having that first season as a Chelsea player, coming into a different country, different league? Is that probably the main reason for the sort of difference in his form that he's had this season?
I think it's quite similar to Werner. As a Chelsea fans, we all knew the quality of the player that was coming to Chelsea. And I think now with Havertz, we're seeing why we spent 70 million on him, and the player that, scored over 20 goals in the Bundesliga last season. We're seeing glimpses of that. The 2 goals he scored against Fulham was superb.
Yeah.
Brilliant assist as well, but absolutely great, class finishes. And I think he even scored a third one, which was slightly offside. And he seems a lot more confident now. I think it might have been Rio Ferdinand compared him to Berbatov. He seems quite, the way he kind of drifts across the pitch, very kind of casual, but at the same time, he does it quite well. And yesterday he was dribbling past players and was unlucky not to score yesterday with the chipped attempt and also the Courtois save. So he's definitely... I'm always a bit apprehensive when we play with a false nine. I wasn't a big fan of it when we used to play with Hazard as a false nine, and we drop the likes of, I think it was Morata, Giroud, or I think we had who was it, Higuain at one stage. But yeah, I'm really liking Havertz as a false nine. I think it's what we need to stick with maybe for the rest of the season. He seems to be performing really well and linking up brilliantly with Mount and Werner and Pulisic as well. And he seems to be enjoying his football at the moment as well. I remember when he scored that hat trick at the start of the season against Barnsley. He just didn't even smile, and it was a bit strange for me. I don't know if it was like, this is what I'm capable of, but I'm capable of much more as well. But now he's playing with a smile on his face, and that's what I like to see as well. And he seems a lot more confident as well in his post-match interviews. I don't know if that's, because he's recovered from COVID now, he's happier in London. He's able to make the most out of life in London. Now we're kind of easing out of the restrictions and the lockdown. So I think, as we said, he's only 21, and we're seeing glimpses now of what he's capable of. And I think, this is going to carry on to the Euros this summer, and also the start of the Premier League season for next summer as well. And I think we've got a brilliant player on our hands, and I think fans are only starting to realise now, okay, Chelsea actually have this guy, and he's pretty damn good.
Yeah, and I have to agree. I think he's a player that makes things look easy, very nonchalant on the ball. He just, like you said, he almost just glides around the pitch, and it is very Berbatov-like. I understand what Rio Ferdinand means by that. He's a player that. He's obviously got the height as well, the height advantage, which is brilliant as a player with his position as well. And I think you're right. I think next season, I think we'll see more the Kai Havertz that I'm sure we've all watched in the Bundesliga. We'll see a lot more of that. I think it's very similar to Werner in terms of him having to adapt to the football league that he's playing in now, and also just life in general. That's a big thing. I can only imagine me going to play in Germany or anywhere else, at that age, and it's a culture difference, lifestyle difference as well. So
In the middle of a pandemic as well.
in the middle of a pandemic, exactly. So it's very easy for us as fans to kind of get on these players' backs, but it's a lot of change. It's a lot of change just outside of your footballing life. So I agree. I think he's a superb player. There's no way, and we don't do bad. Let me take this back. We tend to scope out young talent, and when we get that, yes, we've done bad businesses on some of the other signings that we've had, but when it comes to our youth players or younger players, we're normally on the money with them. We've done that since even going back to Kevin De Bruyne, Mohamed Salah, all these players that we've had at a young age, and we've not been able to at that point get them in the first team for obvious reasons. Then things have changed now, but it's good to see. It's good to see, and I do think we'll get the best out of him next season. I really do. I think he's brilliant to watch, and I've been one of those people that have been been critical of him and said that he's not doing what he should be doing, but he's finally, for me, found the form that he needs to, and I do think Thomas Tuchel's a massive part of that. I do. I think just probably enjoying your football. Well, anything you do, if you're not happy in work and suddenly someone else comes in and they give you a new lease of life, you're definitely going to start wanting to play for that manager or working harder for that manager. So I'm excited for obviously the back end of this season, but I do think we're going to see the best, I think, next season out of Timo Werner and Kai Havertz. I think we'll see the best out of both of them.
Yeah, and just the last thing I want to add is you kind of mentioned, credit to Lampard for getting us to the Champions League, out of the Champions League group stages, and through the early rounds of the FA Cup at the start of the season. But also credit to Lampard for bringing in these players, because I think he had personal phone calls with the likes of Thiago Silva, I think Kai Havertz and Werner, and obviously Chilwell as well.
Yeah,
so huge credit to him. His paw power has been immense last summer, so I think he deserves credit for these players now that are finally finding their form as well.
Yeah. And definitely, because that is probably one of the, especially for Havertz, I think that was one of the deciding factors for why he joined Chelsea, was because of Frank Lampard as well, and that was well documented in the media and other outlets as well. But he's got to take some of the credit as well.
I think with Thiago Silva, I think a picture was sent to the two of them shaking hands in a England-Brazil friendly, and I think that kind of apparently sealed the deal for Silva to make his mind up. So.
But he's got I'm sure, and we've spoke about Frank Lampard before. He's someone I can see back at Stamford Bridge, at some point, very, maybe not soon, but I can see him coming back to Chelsea to manage Chelsea at some point in his career, because he's definitely not finished at Chelsea.
Yeah.
It's just a shame that how it ended for him. But another good thing I wanted to point on as well was our club's the first club to have both men's and women's team in the Champions League final. So we're making history.
We are, yeah.
We really are.
I think Tuchel, first manager to make it to back-to-back Champions League finals with two different teams as well.
Yeah, so, yeah. I think they asked him about that yesterday, and he jokingly laughed it off. But it's an achievement, I know it's not probably the achievement you'd want, because it means you've been sacked or you've left the club. But to guide two teams to a Champions League final back to back is shows the quality of the manager that we've got at the moment as well. But brilliant to see both teams, men's and women's team, in the Champions League final. I'm pretty sure the women's final's this weekend. I think it's on Sunday, but don't quote me on that one. I'm pretty sure it's on Sunday. So I'm sure I'll be watching that as well. Just giving that, as much support as we can. Yeah. I think sometimes the women's game is overshadowed by the men's, and that's across all clubs. But good luck to the women's team, because I think they can do it. I think Barcelona, I think, in the final. So let's bring that trophy home first, and then we can bring ours as well.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. So interesting couple of weeks coming up. We're definitely going to be interested. Obviously, we've got Man City, as we mentioned, on Saturday. We've got the remaining Premier League games. We've got the FA Cup final next Saturday, I think that is as well. And May 29th, is it May 29th?
May 29th,
May
Istanbul.
29th. How can I forget the dates? I've already got it X'd away. Nothing's happening on May 29th. We're just going to stay in the house and get the champagne ready just in case. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks for sure. As always, you can follow us on From the Shed End at on Twitter. So that's From the Shed End, and also on Instagram, From the Shed End _ between each of the. I did say I was going to get one of these for Instagram, so I'm definitely going to make sure we've got our little logo at the bottom for Instagram. So it's From the Shed End, and that's _ so that's for the viewers that are watching us live as well. You can also follow Theo at Sesky Time as well on Twitter. I'm sure, if you follow him already, you'll see that it's definitely a lot of Chelsea content on there as well. Myself, T.producer, well, T._producer on Twitter. Again, lots of Chelsea banter on there. So if it's not for the faint-hearted, sometimes, it does get a bit heated on there. But by all means, give us a follow, like, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just interact with us. Let us know what your thoughts are as well. So thanks for listening to another episode of From the Shed End. Myself, T-Dot, and Theo, thanks.
Thanks, guys.